My name is Deepak Saini, and I'm going to talk to you about a topic that is dear to my heart. It is dear to my heart because not only is what I help my clients with, but what I personally do as well. So I'm going to be talking to you about the 7 areas of focus to becoming superhuman. Now, before I get to the 7 areas to become superhuman, let me tell you about when I wasn't superhuman. I struggled with my weight my entire life. I was morbidly obese as at 18 years old, 100 pounds heavier than I am now. I was chronically sick nearly my entire life. I get sick 4 to 6 times a year for like 4 to 6 weeks at a time. That's a big chunk of the year. Now, I haven't been sick in like 8 or 9 years. Just think what's been going on in the world the last few years, right? I haven't been sick for 8 or 9 years. In 2014, I hurt my back so bad that I could barely bend over and put on my socks. It was painful getting, on and off the toilet. But the worst part, I couldn't pick up my daughter out of her crib. I made it my mission to heal my back. And in doing so, I found the secrets to becoming superhuman. I healed my back. My autoimmune condition is in remission, and the last 60 pounds melted away in months. The last 60 of the 100 pounds I've lost melted away in months. So now you're asking yourself, what are these 7 areas of focus to become superhuman? So let's get to it. So area number 1 is what I call mindset and motivation. It starts with knowing your why, your purpose, your guiding light, if you will, for your individualized goals, not anybody else's, but for you. Now, willpower is fleeting. If you're an absolute rock star, maybe, just maybe you can power through for like 2 years. But most people can't do 2 weeks. But if you can tie your goals to something bigger, something meaningful to you, something you can always go back to, you'll be more successful and you'll stay on your path. Remember how life sucked when I was in so much pain? I couldn't pick up my daughter. I never want to go back to that place. So that now I have a publicly stated goal to be, a superhuman centenarian plus. Part of this is also, relationships. Strong and healthy relationships play a big part in being superhuman. The question is, are there some relationships missing in your life? Are there some that need to be strengthened? Or are there some that actually need to be removed? Sometimes this is hard, especially with family, but I've learned where to put my focus and not put effort or even remove those people that do not support my long-term vision and my long-term goals. Very closely related to relationships is community. Do you belong to communities that feed your mind, your spirit, and your soul? Communities like the people participating in this summit, or in your hometown or your workplace. Again, there are some communities that you need to seek out, and there's probably some that you need to let go. This includes, many online ones and sometimes ones in our personal lives as well. I met one of my best friends by getting out of my comfort zone and just Googling biohacking and my city name. I found a meetup group, and the rest is history. We've been good friends for many years. Social engagement is also very important to being superhuman. So find what works for you. And even us introverts, and yes, I am an introvert, we can do it too. I'm also a huge proponent of engaging in a spiritual discipline, religion, or belief in a higher power, whatever that is for you. And feel free to change it. If your current practice is no longer serves you, change it up. I know a few of the other speakers at the summit are great resources in this sense. Now, I'm also a big believer in gratitude and having a formal practice. Have a gratitude journal. Teach gratitude to your kids. Some people like to do in the morning. I prefer to do it closer to bed. Just do whenever suits you. And I'd say go a little bit deeper. So let me provide an example. Most people will say, I'm grateful for my health. I am grateful for my family. Yes, of course, we all are. I say go a little deeper. Pull the onion back a little bit. Here's just an example. I could say I'm grateful for my daughter, which I am. But I'm grateful for the way she gives me that smile when I give her I make her favorite food. I'm grateful for the way she acts silly when a certain song comes on and we do our silly dance together. Like go a little bit deeper. This is what's really going to connect to you, right? Again, your heart and your body. And finally, I would say meditation has been so huge for my personal life and my business. Now, I'm by no means perfect, but I am calmer in my mind, in my dealing with others, including my family, and I get business ideas and inspiration. Now, many people, and I bet many of the people in this summit are like already into meditation, but for those who aren't, I'd say just start somewhere simple. Like for me, let me tell you a story. So I kept hearing all this stuff, like all the top performers in the world, they're meditators and this and that. And I was like, you know what? After like 2, 3 years of hearing this, like I should probably try this. All these top people are doing it. I should probably try this. I didn't know where to start. I just got an app, one of the free apps. There's many of them on, in all the iTunes store and Google Play and all that sort of thing. I just started with one, listened to the free version for like a couple of weeks, started over, picked a different app, started over, and I just made it a game. I was like, look, can I do this for a week? Can I do this for a month? Can I do this for 3 months? After 3 months, I was like, I'm going to challenge myself. This would be a great blog post if I said, I meditated every day for a year and I'll, share my experiences. Well, guess what? A year has come and gone. I'm all well on 6 years consecutive every day of meditation. That's how profound I've found it for myself. And again, not only personally, but also, I get business insights as well. So that's area number one, mindset and motivation. Let's move on to area number two, what I call controlling your glycemic variability, or most people would call it nutrition. Now, just let me start off with, I don't believe there's one size fits all nutrition plan for the entire planet. And if anyone says so, I call BS. Everyone is different. We're all different. And there are dozens or more different considerations that one needs to take into account. Let's use my wife and I as an example, and my whole family. We probably eat, so me and my wife, we probably eat 80% of the same stuff. But we have many different factors, not only besides gender. We have different goals, from a body composition point of view, and we have different ethnicity and genetics. So again, we customize a bit, and then our kids again eat very similar, but they're in a different life stage. They can get away with eating certain things because they're they're still growing. So again, there's no one size fits all. Now, everyone knows that eating too much sugar is bad for your health, but at least your body can use some level of sugar. I would suggest the number one thing killing you and halting you from being superhuman is ingesting processed vegetable oils. Your body actually has no use for these. And some of your cells, it takes 2 years for your body to rid yourself of these processed oils. Now, becoming superhuman means eating foods that are low inflammatory for you. Again, this is different for everyone. You need to take a customized and individualized approach. I certainly do, and so do my clients. Now, this customized approach may also mean eating a variety of wild plants and herbs and spices, or it might not. Again, for you. And remember, sometimes too much variety can hamper our goals, whatever they may be. I'm also a huge proponent of food timing and fasting. And again, this is going to depend on you, the individual. So I'll just explain, what this looks like for me. So we typically finish dinner, kind of depends on the day. Let's call it like 6:30, 7 o'clock. Now, maybe on the weekends, I might, we're watching movies, et cetera. I might, have a little snack a little bit later in the evening. But then I just, go to bed and I get up and I have my water in the morning when I wake up. I have my coffee. I don't really eat. And again, it depends on the day, but I usually don't eat till like noon or two, somewhere between there, noon to 2 o'clock. And I've certainly done, 4-day fasts before, and I don't suggest anyone start with that. Start building your tolerance up. You're already fasting while you're sleeping. So, just by pushing your normal breakfast time by like half an hour at a time is a great way to get started. And there's so many huge benefits, both, mentally, mental clarity, autophagy, health benefits, et cetera. So again, huge proponent of fasting and how that fits into your nutrition plan. Now, you might also be asking yourself, okay, Deepak, where does alcohol fit into all this? Hey, we're coming on the holiday season here pretty soon, right? Parties and all that sort of thing. So let's be honest. Let's not kid ourselves. Alcohol is a poison to your system. Now, if you decide to partake, hey, I do on occasion as well, make sure it's with the right intention and choose the least harmful options for you. Now, I also group supplements into this area. Everything from the basics like magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3, zinc, vitamin C, and more, to the more advanced things like sirtuin activating compounds, to calorie restriction mimetics. Now, I'll come back to this topic once we get to area number 7. So let's move on. Okay, area number 3 to be superhuman, the right movement for you. Again, this is highly individualized. Now, if you're an elite athlete or enjoy mass quantities of exercise, hey, go do your thing. But I don't think it's necessary for the average person to do all that to become superhuman. Homo sapiens were meant to move. We were meant to walk and be active. I'm a huge proponent of lots of low-level movement throughout our day. Crushing a CrossFit workout in the morning or doing a 60-minute spin class or whatever it is for you, and then sitting for the rest of your day is not going to make you superhuman. Many low-level walking breaks throughout your day, like walking your dog, a walk on your lunch break, a stroll after dinner, parking farther away from your destination, all these sorts of things add up to keep us fresh and healthy. Next, I like, 3 to 5 times a week of zone 2 training to get a bit more of a sweat on, improve your cardiovascular system, but also not to be too taxing to your body. So, and this is a great area, and the right effort level to actually be in fat burning. Now, lean muscle mass in the 75th percentile or higher leads to a lower all-cause mortality, longevity, body composition athletics, being resilient to falls, and thus making you superhuman. I'm a huge fan of 2 to 3 times a week, everyone doing some sort of strength training. Again, this is going to look different based on your goals. But I don't think it's always necessary to work out at a gym either. Many people can benefit from just a quick workout at home just using your body weight. Again, it's going to depend where you're coming from. Now, bottom line, to be superhuman, we need to lift heavy things for us once in a while. Let me underline that. What is heavy for me is going to be different than what's heavy for you. So just find out what works for you and incorporate strength training for you. The other thing I think we need to do every once in a while is to sprint. Now, this can look like a lot of different activities. It could be running. That's what most people think about. It could be swimming. It could be riding a bike or an elliptical trainer or whatever. And when I say just once in a while, it really doesn't need to be any more than maybe once every 7 to 10 days, or maybe even just once a month. We want to send the signal to our body to be ready. Every once in a while, we need to put on that cape and be a superhero and perform all out. I also want to mention that we can't discount the element of play in our daily and weekly movement activities. Have fun. Act like a kid again. Do things that you loved to do when you were younger. Do things with your kids, your grandkids, or just people that are younger than you. Regardless of age, balance is also important to stay young, injury-free, and be a superhuman. I do, and I encourage all my clients to do some form of balance work every day. So let me, briefly share how I personally incorporate these movement habits for myself to keep me superhuman. So I do, I have a dog, I've got to take him out for his walk. So do a lot of low-level walking. We live at the bottom of a hill, so we'll go either halfway or all the way up the hill, multiple times a day. I do daily 30 minutes of, again, that zone 2 cardio on my elliptical trainer. And 2 to 3 times a week, I do blood flow restriction training, strength training. So I wrap myself up in my bands and I do very short, high intensity workouts, and I'm in and out, and I get my strength training done super fast. And I also do stretching every day. Again, I mentioned my back injury earlier, so I have to do that to keep myself being superhuman. And again, I do balance work every day, and I just incorporate that as part of my stretching routine. So let's move on to area number 4 to be superhuman: stress mitigation. The number one thing you can do for your health and improve your stress is sleep properly and adequately. Now, there's no magic number for everyone, as sleep quality is more important than sleep quantity. I personally found my sleep sweet spot is between 6 hours and 45 minutes and 7 hours and 15 minutes of sleep, with both about 1 to 1.5 hours of both deep sleep and REM sleep. Now, I track my sleep so I can fine tune it. So I've learned how to fine tune it, and I understand the many variables that affect my sleep. Again, that is part of living a superhuman lifestyle. And remember, stress can be both good and bad. Understanding the concept of hormesis and how and know which and how positive stressors can help us to actually become superhuman is important. Things like sauna, cold exposure, oxygen therapy, hydrogen-rich water, to name just a few. Positive stressors can make us more resilient and improve our health. And I love breath work as a tool, not only for long-term stress mitigation, but also as an immediate tool in the moment to control my physiology. Just a few simple breaths for a few seconds at a time is all it takes to bring your heart rate down, lower your blood pressure, lower your cortisol levels, so you can respond to life how you want to respond. No, we just did a little exercise with Dolores if you were on, and probably many of our other guests as well. I like just, a nice, 4-4-6. Nice inhale for 4 through the nose. I prefer through the nose myself. Hold for 4, and then a longer exhale. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6, and just do that like 2 or 3 times. It takes like 20 or 30 seconds, and you just brought yourself right down. So again, so you can respond. That person cuts you off in traffic, your boss drops a report on a Friday afternoon on your desk, your kids are freaking out over something. Just do that quickly, 20 or 30 seconds, and then you can respond how you want to respond and not let the monkey mind take control. Another aspect of mitigating stress uh, is that there's many hidden forms of stress, and we want to be able to mitigate those. And one of those kind of hidden sources of stress, I think it's getting more popular and people are just starting to know about, is like all this harmful junk light we have. Like, and I'm be honest, I'm in my office here, I got kind of some got my ring light going and all that. I got to deal with that myself. But then how do I mitigate it is by making sure I get adequate sunlight throughout my day, and controlling other light exposures. So for me means blue light blocking glasses, wearing red bulbs in the evening, all that sort of thing. And I'm also a huge proponent of getting out in nature and also grounding. And I think Dolores talked about that earlier as well. Actually touching the earth, walking outside barefoot, and discharging those positive ions from our body. And the last point I'll say here is that depending on the situation, again, one could use, certain supplements to help with stress mitigation, like L-theanine, ashwagandha, rhodiola, and many, many others. Okay, so let's move on to area number 5, an area which many people actually downplay: environmental factors. I would suggest that you cannot be superhuman if you don't concern yourself with and mitigate the effects of the various environmental factors that are affecting you daily. I'm talking about ensuring that you have the cleanest air to breathe, that you have the cleanest water to drink, maybe even a different form of water. Certainly don't smoke, don't vape, don't hang around those people. Hey, no judgment on my part, but hey, the science is there. Have plants in your home or office, get out in nature, and again, breathe fresh air. Also, that you reduce your exposure to heavy metals, and that you know how to test yourself, and if need be, how to eliminate them from your body. In a world of constant chemical bombardment, do you know how to minimize and mitigate the effects of this environmental onslaught? Now, while it's an uphill battle to fight, that we're, basically what we're being poisoned with, most people willingly increase their toxic load by their own practices. So what do I mean by this? What are you eating, drinking, and more importantly, what are you putting on your body? Now, this is just me. I don't use colognes, perfume products, or even wear deodorant. And trust me, unless I'm working out or coming out of the sauna, I don't smell bad, or at least no one's told or had the guts to tell me that I do. The idea I'm trying to convey here is to be mindful of the products we use in our homes, in our businesses, on our lawns, and what we put on our skin. If you wouldn't eat it, why would you put it on your skin? Don't use or find, cleaner alternatives. This is what a superhuman does. I would also include protecting ourselves from non-native EMFs. This could mean everything from proximity to the devices, to harmonizing equipment, to silver-lined EMF blocking clothes, all of which I personally use myself. Let's move on. Number 6. Now, this is what I call don't do stupid things. Essentially, it's a risk-reward, analytical look at our own decisions. We make hundreds, if not thousands of decisions a day. Are your decisions based on sound principles and risk reward to become superhuman or not? Here's just a couple examples of what I mean. You probably make your kids wear a helmet when they ride their bike, right? But do you as an adult? I see adults all the time not wearing their helmets. Maybe you ride a motorbike. That won't personally be my choice, but hey, that's your thing, that's your thing. And you probably wear a helmet and you probably wear leathers. Great. But you take brain boosting supplements in case there was an accident? Do you take any of these for any activity that increases your risk of a head injury? Like even playing soccer, I think or football or whatever, you should be, having your brain and your mind in mind when you do these type of activities. And the list goes on and on. So figure out what are your blind spots. Where are your decisions, too casual, and how you can mitigate some of these potential risks to make it make it more easier for you so you can be superhuman. Okay, so let's move on. Area number 7, to being superhuman. And honestly, many people come seek me out just for this area, but I feel you need the foundational principles in place from all the earlier areas before you delve into the area, this area number 7, what I call advanced scientific topics or even biohacking. So what I mean, I'm talking about things from advanced supplementation to smart drugs, NAD plus, ketones, salts, and esters, to compounds, that mobilize your own stem cells, modalities like photobiomodulation, red light therapy, laser therapy, hyperbaric oxygen, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy or PMF. Also things like ozone therapy, blood dialysis, IVs of all sorts, and finally things like stem cells and exosomes. Now, this is the cutting edge stuff. This is the cool stuff, if you will. But remember what I said a minute ago. You need to focus on the fundamentals first. Are you moving right? First, do you have the mindset right? Do you have your mind right? Are you eating clean food? Are you drinking clean water? Are you moving properly for you? Are you mitigating your stress? Are you sleeping properly? Are you breathing properly? These are all the things that need to be locked down first before we get to any of this other stuff. But that being said, let me give you a few examples of what I'm talking about here. So, personally for me, obviously, I'm just starting to get back into travel now here in the last, let's call it 9 months or so. Obviously there wasn't a lot of travel before, for the few years prior to that. But I've been known to, if I'm going to go on a big epic trip, I'm going to be gone 2-3 weeks, I'm getting an IV, getting a vitamin IV before travel to boost up my immune system, and afterwards to make sure I don't get sick when I come back with all the things going on in travel. So, that's just one example. I have a, PEMF device at home. So when I have a little naggy injury, something that feels a bit sore, I can just put the paddles on, on my elbow or my knee or whatever, put the machine on, and it helps me, feel better, in just a couple of days. I also use red light therapy. I have a little device. I use it, off brand or, just gives me the right light frequency. And I can put it on if my ankle's a bit sore or some other body part and just shine the red light on there to help my healing process. I have a full spectrum infrared sauna at home. So, I use that every day that I'm home, and I do my meditation in there. I do my affirmation. Sometimes I read. So again, I'm stacking habits. So all these things don't take a whole ton of time. I've tried hyperbaric oxygen. I'm going to share one example with you here. This was, I guess, 2 years ago now, or 18 months ago. I had to travel for a conference to a different city. So, about 4-hour drive. And I came from a back injury. So even though I do all these things to keep my back healthy, just sitting in a car is for that long is not the best for my back. So my friend has a clinic in this other city. So I went to go visit him. And by the time I got there, my back was sore, starting to get a bit of a headache, and I just felt not really that great. And he's like, hey, give it a whirl. I was like, oh, are you sure? Like, I don't want to, put you out or anything. He's like, no, give it a whirl. So I went in a hyperbaric oxygen, chamber for, I guess, about an hour. I just went and had basically a nap in there. I tell you, I got so much energy. I basically couldn't sleep that night. I was like, God, I got to go to this conference the next day. Like I should, and I need to be on. I should probably try and get to sleep. It just gave me so much energy. My back felt amazing afterwards. My headache was completely gone. And that next day at the conference, I just have to say I was just like on. Like it just lit me up. My mind was just really, really on. Another example I want to give, just this happened recently, just about 4 weeks ago now. I was at a different conference in Las Vegas, and another friend of mine has a regenerative medicine clinic there. He said, "Come on in and let's give you an exosomes IV treatment." And I said, "Sure, let's give that a whirl." I'm about pushing that envelope, experimenting, testing all these latest and greatest, all these things that can make us be superhuman. Excuse me. So I did the exosomes treatment, and again, I'm in Vegas. I'm at a conference, and there's things going on. You're staying up late, etc. I have to tell you, it gave me so much energy for those next 2 days. I was kind of amazed. I was like going to bed at like 2 in the morning. So nothing that I would say I would promote like on a long term basis, but in short term period. When in Rome, sometimes, right? Going to bed early. Going to bed late, getting up early for the conference, etc. I had so much energy. But here's the things I noticed after when I came back home. I had a little bit of a achy knee pain situation going on. It wasn't really too painful. It's just kind of a little bit of a soreness, but it was concerning enough to me that I actually went and got imaging done before I went on this trip. Afterwards, I came back and I was kind of realized I was like, oh wait, I haven't felt this little nagging knee pain for like a couple of weeks now. I attribute that to the exosomes. And the other thing is, so before I kind of healed myself and started my path towards being superhuman, I used to have to, and I keep my hair short, on purpose. I used to have to cut my hair every 4 to 6 weeks. When I started implementing infrared sauna that I mentioned earlier, it went to about every 3 to 4 weeks. My hair and my fingernails would just grow so much faster that I would have to cut my hair a little bit more frequently. I got my hair cut right before I went on this trip to Las Vegas, and within 2 weeks after, like my hair was like so long, I had to get it cut again. Another thing I attribute to the exosome. So I don't know. I don't think it's placebo. I think there's something there. But again, the only reason I share these things is, again, not to brag or say, hey, look at Deepak or whatever, anything, but to educate and empower all of you to know what is out there, what is available for all of us. And this isn't for like, this ultra rich or anything like that. This is for the average, person like, like all of us. You just need to know where to find them. And that's again part of the service that I offer to my one-on-one clients, is just how to like educate yourselves and know where to find these type of things. Now, before I recap, I want to briefly mention the gift I have for all the attendees. I think the link will be provided somewhere, but I would like to share my 7 secrets to reverse aging habits in minutes a day. It's a guide. It's a short resource where you can start to build some healthy habits for yourself. Like I said, I'm huge about habit stacking. So find what resonates with you, and then you can track it for 30 days, and then go back to the beginning and find something else you want to try. So again, it can be found at deepaksainihealth.com/freebie. Definitely go and download that, and maybe Dijon or one of the admins will drop that in the chat. So before I wrap up, and if we have time, I'd happy to answer any questions. But before we wrap up, let's recap the 7 areas that I believe one needs to focus on to be superhuman. So 1, controlling your mindset and understanding your motivation for your particular goals. 2, minimizing your glycemic variability and personalized nutrition. Nutrition that is right for you, not for the masses. Number 3, find the right movement for you and your goals. 4, mitigating stress in all its forms. 5, controlling your environment so it doesn't control you. Number 6, again, what I call don't do stupid things, that risk reward. And finally, the latest and greatest in scientific technologies and biohacking, if you will, so that you can be superhuman. Again, start with the foundational principles. Start with what resonates with you. Then layer in what you can over time. Being superhuman is no easy task, and it doesn't come overnight. I'm into my 12th year of this journey, and I don't have it all figured out yet. But I'm well on my way, and I invite all of you to come join me. So I'm Deepak Saini, and together we can be superhuman together. Thank you.